Alright guys, as promised in the intro video, we are here with our first look at our first mod. This is one of my personal favorites, so I thought, why not start with this one? So the mod that we're looking at today is called More Mechanoids. The basic premise is that two types of mechanoids gets kind of boring, you might say. It's not really much variety. These little guys here are called crawlers. They're really cool. They chop off all your colonists' fingers and toes and all that kind of stuff, and they come out in little swarms usually. And then not pictured here is another one called a scallywag. He's not, I find, as fun, but the basic premise with him is that he'll come to melee range and stun, not even stun like I've seen with some other mods, but actually like put your colonists down, like when you have to rescue them and all that kind of stuff. So they're really kind of brutal if they get to you, because they stun all your your good shooters and all that kind of stuff, and then you have to go out and rescue them with the big guys shooting at you and all that kind of stuff. So that's basically what the mod is. We're going to jump in game and have a look. So as promised, we are in game. You might notice I've got a few different mods running. We'll cover them in different episodes. But the thing I wanted to obviously concentrate on right now is the More Mechanoids mod. Now, we'll just pause for a second. You might see this little bloke over here. And you think, oh, we've got to shoot him, we've got to kill him. One of the things that this mod does, and this is one of the reasons I love this mod, is that if you have these little guys come at you either from an attack or whatever, and you kill them, you get a lot of mechanoid corpses kind of sitting around. You chuck them up in your stockpile, and what I do is I forbid them, so they sit there. Because what this mod allows you to do is modify by putting an AI chip in these little crawlers, and they can turn into workers for you. So we're going to have a quick look. Well, he doesn't actually look very skillful. They are very limited in what they can do. When you chip them, you're actually given, I think it's 3 options. You have the option of chip a crawler for cleaning, hauling, or plant cutting. Those jobs are pretty labor intensive, pretty unproductive a little bit in some sense, but you need it done, don't you? But you don't want your doctor doing it, you don't want any of your colonists doing it, because they can do other things. Now, what you can do is you kill off all the big mechanoids, you machine them all down because you can't chip those. But what you can do is you can craft an AI chip. If you've got a guy who's high enough crafting and high enough research, and you can chip these little guys into being a one-job bot, basically. It's quite amusing when you see them carrying something that's actually bigger than their character model. Obviously, in my kill box here, I'm hoping he's going to pick up a... I picked up a crossbow. Anyway, so basically... Ooh, I recruited someone. What happens is some of the mechanoids, I think, that come when you're getting attacked or when you open pods or any of that kind of stuff have been replaced with these little blokes. And what happens is usually, 2 or 3 for every normal 1 mechanoid that you get, because they're not as strong. They're much easier to kill, but that's a good thing because they do come in swarms a little bit. I think the balance on this mod is pretty good. Like, for me, when I'm playing RimWorld, or any game really, for me, balance is an issue. When you go into modding and all that kind of stuff, you're affecting balance. I play a lot of games like Magic the Gathering, Dota, and all that kind of stuff. And part of the fun of a game is the tension. Like, if you're going to play an FPS, you don't want the heavy machine gun to be able to kill people from 2 kilometers away and be deadly at point blank and also have healing powers and give you flying. it just ruins the game because it makes it completely imbalanced. It's like when you're playing football against somebody who's 20 kilos heavier than you, can run 100 meters twice as quick as you can, and can steal your girlfriend. It's just not fun for anyone. So when I'm looking at a mod, I'm looking at things like balance, I'm looking at things like art style, I'm looking at things like just general gameplay and features that they add or problems that they solve. This one just, for me, kind of, because it's one of my favorites, I think it scores pretty well across the board. It's got great balance. So one of the issues that you have with this type of system is if these little guys are too easy to get, too plentiful, they're just going to ruin the game, because part of the tension is workflow in this game. And if you've just got all these jobs done, then you have colonists standing around idle, and it'll just ruin it. But the thing with these guys is that you can't craft them on command. Remember, you've got to get them when the mechanoid attack happens, or you've got to open a cryosleep casket, or something to that effect. So there's a natural barrier there in regards to how many you can get, all that kind of stuff. The other thing that makes them well balanced, I think, is the limited functions. Like, you can only do plant cutting, only do cleaning, only do hauling, and only have one of those for each mechanoid. So that I think is a very good balance, because, like, let's be honest, they're not the smartest things in the world. They're just little rodents. Now, to actually get them modded is kind of a big deal. It takes a while, and that again adds to the balance for me. So you've got to research a bunch of techs, and then you get to the point where you can do stuff on the machining table. So you've got your good old disable mechanoid to get your steel and get your plasteel, which is what you want. The other thing that we have to do, if we're going to chip one of these bad boys, is make an AI chip. As you can see here, right about here, it costs 80 plasteel. So that's another really big barrier into getting these bad boys chipped. You either need to kind of strike it lucky and find some plasteel on the world that you're playing, or you need to kill a bunch of mechanoids. So that already pushes this chipping capability of these little crawlers much further into the mid game. It's not an early game type thing that you're going to be able to do. You can kind of rush it, but you're still not going to get there very quickly. The other thing that you need to craft the AI chip is 9 crafting. Crafting, again, is more of the mid-game type thing. It's going to take you a little while to maybe level up a guy, unless you start off with one that just happens to have this skill set. And research 5. So a lot of things don't need 2 prerequisites. This one does, which kind of shows you the balance element there again. The thing when you get attacked by these little blokes is that, so you get attacked in the early game with them, because they kind of replaced a single mechanoid attack a lot of the time, is you're going to have these little guys laying around. And you do not want to deconstruct them, as far as I'm concerned, because they only provide, I think it's 5 plasteel and 5 steel. And the benefit you're going to get in the mid-game from having these little guys around way far outweighs having 5 steel or plasteel. Like, it's not even worth it. You can't even build a segment of steel wall for that. So I just set aside, a section of my dump zone or whatever, and once they get there, I just forbid them, and they just sit there until I'm ready to go. In terms of the way it plays out in combat, the scallywags rush you, the crawlers rush you, and then the lancers and centipedes sit behind and try and shoot you. So it really, it varies it up and gives you even more flavor and all that kind of stuff later in the game. Things I think this mod could have done better, or will do, as it's still in development. One thing that happens is that when you lose one of these little guys, your colonists take a mood hit. So it's like they're a pet, they've got emotional investment and all that kind of stuff. But when I go in here to rename them, you know, there's no renaming capability. I don't know about you, but when I adopt a dog or a cat, not that I adopt cats, but you know, oh, I said that on the internet. Maybe I shouldn't have. When I adopt a pet, I name it. So if these colonists are going to take a mood hit in terms of balance, flavor-wise, I think you should be able to rename the crawlers that they have working around. That's just one thing I think could be better. One thing that happens is that you cannot control them. See here how I don't have a draft button, I only have a hunt button. Thanks for that. It means that you cannot at any point control these little guys. There's no building, there's no anything that can be used to control them. So they're just going to walk around hauling things, which, you know, seems pretty good usually. The issue is that if they run through my kill box when a fight's going on, they're probably going to die, and they don't take much to die. Okay, so that would be something that I would suggest to the developer. I think the best way to get around this would be to develop some type of home plate or homing beacon or something like that, that say I could put in this little space here next to my crematorium that would just suck all the little crawlers into that space. So you could, it'd be like a magnet. You could turn it on and off. Once you turn it on, they stop their job, they run back there, and they're out of harm's way for now. And then once the battle's stopped, you turn them back on. The only other thing that kind of bothers me, because I'm a little OCD, is that there is this shutdown function that I can order, and I'll look at who I've got as a repairer. Everybody's a repairer. So I'm going to get Vass. I want you to shut this little... No. Okay. Can't do it. You know, there's a bill there to shut him down, but I can't actually execute on that bill. It's not really a gameplay thing. I think it's a leftover thing, and I would just like to see that tidied up because, you know, I like things tidy. I really love this concept, adding in, you know, more mechanoids, more functionality, more variety. You know, that's what keeps making these campaigns, these replays interesting. So I'm really keen to see how this mod is going to keep developing. I love how this has been implemented. I don't think there's really much balance issues. One issue I do have is I don't like the way the chip looks. One thing that you'll notice in RimWorld, I think, you know, is kind of across the board is, say take the potatoes and stuff. You don't see individual potatoes and you don't see overwhelming detail. And you look at all these types of things over here. They've got very muted colors. You know, they're not very high colors. When you look at the Mechanoid AI chip here, it seems out of place to me, to be honest. It seems probably too detailed, and it seems like the colors might be a little bit too bright. Like, look at the things next to it. They got a lot more grey in the palette rather than pure like yellows and things like that. Like, there's a bit of yellow up here, but it, you know, just for me, I think what a lot of mods have that I don't like in particular is the components that they're making don't exactly fit the art style of the game. And that's just something that's going to happen as people are working on it. But I would say, from my experience, that I would prefer this to be a little bit more muted and a little bit less detailed. Like I said, guys, this is one of my favorite mods. I really suggest that you give it a go. It adds a heap of gameplay and all that kind of stuff. Let me know how you think I reviewed, how I went reviewing these guys. Give me any comments, any kind of suggestions, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you've got a mod that you would like me to have a look at. If you'd like to like and subscribe below, that would be really encouraging, and we'll come up with more mods later on.